Hi, I'm Ray and this is TinyTableGames. Thanks for clicking on the video and spending some time with me as I continue to play games off my game shelf and paint up miniatures in need of painting. Today we're continuing exploring the game found delivery I received from 20 Strong. We've played through Tainted Grail, we've played through Nemesis, or at least one game of each, and now Etherfields, 3 of the 4 that showed up in my order. This one I've never played the board game for. It's another Awakened Realms game. It seems kind of trippy. Basically, you're a dreamer wandering through the dreamscape. Somewhat Lovecraftian, but not really, I suppose. And things are not as they seem. And there's some weird rules to this one. It's kind of meant to be persistent. So the idea is, as your character is walking through this dreamscape, you may or may not become more lucid, meaning more in control of your own dreams. And things that are monsters, as you defeat them, might turn into useful items. Items might turn into monsters. It's a dreamscape. So all sorts of things can happen. I don't know if there's any things that turn into Whataburger in there, but I wouldn't mind that. In any case, let's take a look at it and see how it plays. Okay, here's the recommended setup for Etherfields, 20 Strong. And as always, it's the same dice, the same little token flipper thingy, and then a different deck of cards, and then how many games can we make out of this kind of scenario? So up here we got boss cards, and like just about all the 20 Strong games, you pick a boss to start. And in this case, they recommend Something Wicked. And an interesting thing about Etherfields as a game is virtually every card has an A side and a B side. They're almost all double-sided. And that's because things transform due to dreams and whatnot. And the idea is you play through this game multiple times, and as that happens, things transform. For example, we'll cheat for a moment and say, look, here's the spider, here's a monster. If you defeat it, if a crit is applied to this enemy, flip and discard the card. And if you flip it, look, it's not a monster anymore. Now it's an item. Which is kind of neat. So things change, and you're not supposed to look too much at the backside of cards until you need to. So there are other bosses, at least 5 total it looks like, with their A and B sides. But it says for your first game, go with Something Wicked, because why not? And notice he's got 9 health and does 1 damage, so not such an easy kill, but it is the boss after all. Okay. So the rest of these go back in the box. Next up, you have map cards. Unlike some of the other games, this one actually has quite location dependent as you drift through the dreamscape. This little center part is where you start, and as you move around the dreamscape, if you were to move to here, it takes 1 yellow either die or card that you can discard to move across a border into a new location. So you can do an Explore 2 for green to move off that edge, or in this case move 4. And notice this one costs 4, this one only costs 2, but that's because when you step here, you're going to activate an enemy too. And so all these are shuffled, they're all double-sided. Everything you start with is side A at the start of the game, pretty much. And this one starts right in the center of the table of your dreamscape. And back to the boss for just a moment. This first thing is the ether has to be on red to actually encounter the boss. That's the fight the boss condition should you choose to. But he has an ongoing thing which is different than the other games thus far, which is every time you get to the activation phase, or the monster activation phase, you have to exhaust 1 ready die. So he just kind of keeps leeching stuff away from you throughout the entire game, even though you haven't actually encountered him yet. A whisper on the wind, a fleeting vignette of what is to come. Though is it your foes or yourself who are wicked? So that's a lot of that in this one. And these are the item cards, as you might imagine. They're items that you can pick up throughout the thing. And there's 3 stats in addition to your character stats, which is the character stats are always the same: health, strategy, and recovery. How many dice you pick up, how many times you can do an action / reroll, and how much health you have. But in this game, there's also 3 additional stats, which is, let's see, wrath, cunning, and awareness, which is the green one. It's just blacked out on this one because it doesn't have awareness. So you have to use those for moving around. And as you notice, the awareness is what they're talking about with the symbol with that, which just lines up to the green symbol on the dice, and or an influence card that you might have. The idea in this game is, here's the influence cards. That's your biggest deck, and this is basically how you take actions. You draw out 5 cards at the start and keep playing through. And this is a really good one because it gives you 3 of each, so you can either discard this card for using some of those things, hence the so many possibilities. I can do anything. Everything starts on side A. Something might tell you to flip it to side B, and now it's a different kind of card. It might be an influence card, it might not, might be more powerful, might be less powerful. In any case, those are the things you can use to either cause damage or explore or get past hurdles. And you can use them in combination with dice. For example, if you needed 4 yellow, you could use this for 3 and then exhaust a yellow die to get the 4, should you choose to. A lot of flexibility. Additionally, you can play it pretty much any time a card out of your hand as it applies, unlike the other games where you don't have to wait for the strategy phase. And finally, there are 5 characters. Now they all come with a sleeping side and a lucid, more powerful side, which with the artwork's changed and everything. But you start with the dreamer side, basically. And the idea with this game is, as you play it, if you finish the first one, some cards you might become more lucid, you might not, and some cards will get flipped to either items or more powers or whatever. And then you keep them that way, and the next time you play, you carry on in your dreamscape from where you were with the same character, kind of campaignish in that sense, and you can go through and fight different bosses and discover all there is to discover, because they say there's like hidden plots and stuff like that in there based on as the cards flip, and it tells a story if you read all of the fine print and the story text and all that stuff. So that's kind of interesting. In any case, for the first game, they say play the free spirit, it'll be easier, and the others go back into the box. And as always, you got your little dice there to represent your things, and in this case, much like Nemesis, your health die also represents your location. So there we go. We're on the map, as it were. Scoot that down a little bit. Notice everybody has a special ability, just like every other 20 strong game. In the apply dice step, you may exhaust an unapplied crit to place the top 2 cards from the influence discard on top of the influence deck. So basically, spend a crit to get some cards that you've discarded back. There's like 27 cards in the influence deck, I think they said. You can shuffle if you run out, but it will cost you 2 health, or you have to remove a couple cards from the game to do so. So they definitely try to encourage you to limit how many times you're blowing through the deck. And of course, as always, if you get to 0 health and she has 4 to start, you lose. So another thing to note is you have to find the place on the map where it says you can activate the boss and then have the whatever condition is on the boss card in play. In this case, it's the have it set to the red setting. Then you start the game with it on yellow. So what are we going to do first? First, we drop 5 influence cards because that's our hand. All right, so we have to decide what we're going to do now. Because after you draw your cards, you have to activate an enemy. So the spider shows up. We'll move this up a little bit. And when this enemy is activated, flip 1 influence card in your hand and then discard it. And that's about it for now. And then after we fight it, if crit is applied to this card, flip and discard the card. And so even though we know it's going to be green toxin, we won't even get to use it right away, and possibly not even in this game. It'll be a game for later that we defeated after the first one, which is interesting. So when this guy hits the ground, we have to just flip an influence card in our hand and then discard it. So that's interesting. So let's see, we've got common voice. So well, that's the B side again. A side, so many possibilities. I really don't want to get rid of that. Although it lets you draw an additional card. Oh, wow. Got to look ahead a little bit. -1 health to gain 3 red or recover up to 4 dice. Yeah, we'll flip this one over to wait and discard it. So now we got 4 cards to work with thanks to that spider. And now we have to do the boss action, which happens at the start of every round, which is in this case exhaust 1 ready die. So that stinks. And we'll, I don't know, take this green one, how about? Whatever. Okay. So he's always leeching our dice, the jerk. Now, do we want to explore? Do we want to take this thing out? We can pretty much take all the actions we want. There's not like a set number of turns, and you can do it at pretty much any time since a lot of these cards affect things at different times. So, something to consider. And much like all the other games, there is the activation phase, influence, which is when you draw the cards, the opposition, which is when you flip out an enemy and the boss takes his power effect, and then the engagement, which is where you commit, roll, and apply dice, and then resolve the effects. But they point out that in this game, you can take as many actions as you want throughout the round, including after influence and opposition. So, you know, be aware of your cards and don't just automatically wait for the engagement phase to do so. Which is interesting and certainly different than the other game in that regard. So, do we want to move? And if we do so, if we move, we'll end up summoning another monster. When he's activated, flip an influence card and discard it. And he's another extract fluids guy, and he's got 4. It'll cost us 1 yellow, which I'm going to use the die for. And we're going to drift here, because why not? And in doing so, notice it'll be, if we want to explore off the edge of the map, that'll be 2 green, but in the meantime, we activate another monster. When this enemy is activated, flip 1 influence card in your hand and discard it. And if a crit is applied to this enemy, flip it and discard this card. So, this time I think we may get rid of Pretty Tough. Because that's pretty cool. Heck, we're going to banish this card right now with an action for 4 red. So that's out of the game. And with that 4 red, we can immediately do a strike on the machine, which defeats him. So we gain an item and we will flip and discard him. So flip and discard. So he becomes a yellow toxin item, that's pretty gross. But nonetheless, there he is. So he is now a yellow toxin over here in the discard pile. And from the top of the item deck, we draw a common hammer. It's good to have a hammer. And so that just goes into our inventory there. Flip and discard this card to gain 4 red. Wow. Then flip and discard the map card you are occupying. Oh. Wow. And if you lose your center point and can't get back to it, you lose the game. So we've got to be careful about that. So we got 2 left. I kind of want to hang on to these for now, I think. But should we explore? We could explore. Well, let's fight this sucker first. Because we can drop to 3 cards off the top of the deck right when we do it. So we're going to move on to the engagement phase where we pick out some dice to roll and use them. And interestingly, notice that what dice we use isn't influenced by this like it was in Tainted Grail. So that's kind of interesting. Although one thing to note is whatever colors up, you recover 1 extra die of that color. So at the moment, using the yellow ones is definitely the way to go. So we're going to allocate some dice. We can only recover 2 generally, and we got to do 3 damage to this thing. We could kill it outright with one of these, but I don't want to do that just yet. And we can go through the strategy phase twice, so we're going to allocate 2 yellow, since we get those back easier, and 1 purple. And roll them and see how we do here. We got 1 crit and 2 misses. Okay. Well, we will apply the crit, which is 2 damage, and we'll activate the strategy phase again, but we won't use any additional dice because all we really need to do is get 1 hit. Although if we do that and it doesn't work, I'm going to be really sad. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get 2 back plus 1 yellow. That'd be 3. So that's almost full recovery. So maybe I'll pull 1 extra green die in. Oh yeah. Look at that. Straight miss. Well, that's annoying. So we're gonna have to burn one of these because I don't want to take 3 points worth of damage. Although I could use the hammer, but then we'd lose the game because I'm on the home square. So burning one of these, sad. So that goes into the discard without flipping and does 3 additional damage to this guy, which is overkill. All these dice get discarded. He gets squished. So drop to 3 cards from the top of the influence discard. So 1, 2, 3. We get all these cards right back into our hand, which is nice. And notice some of these are on the B side now because we flipped them. So that's cool. And this little dude is just discarded. So monster discard pile for you, and he doesn't flip over. Oh, no, I take it back. He does flip over because we did apply a crit. Haha, flip and discard. So he turns into green toxin. Suspicious liquid. Well, yeah. So if we ever have a way of drawing discarded items at the moment, we've got yellow toxin and green toxin. Both of them looking sketchy. Okay, so that was both strategy phase items. So we suffer damage if there's anything left to suffer damage by, but there's not. Let's see. We exhausted the dice, now we recover. We get one freebie yellow back. From here's our exhaust pool. So we get one freebie yellow back. Let's see, and then we get to pick 2 more. And I think I'll go with the purple and a green, since we'll keep slowly getting yellow back. So put these back over here. That's our exhaust pile that we can't quite finish. So we're back to the top of the round, which is activation influence. And we have to discard 1 card from our hand, as it reads, which is unfortunate, but there you go. Discard at least 1 influence card from your hand. You may choose to discard more, then draw up. So we're not going to discard our B-sides, so I guess we'll discard one of those. But that one's really useful. Flip and banish this card to reduce which means you'd flip him and then banish him, so for the rest of this game he'd be out, but when he comes back in, he'll be on the A side again. And the A side was effort. So I'm not going to get rid of him, because that might be handy in case we run into a nasty enemy that we can't get rid of. And this one, banish 1 influence card from your hand to add 2 health and recover 3 dice. Man, that's too good too. Shoot. All right. So we're going to discard this one. Ouch. And draw back up to 5, 4, and 5. The next thing that happens is we now have to, excuse me, activate an enemy. So here's the new person trotting out. Kindergarten teacher. Yeah, that's definitely an enemy. Adds a critter. Map actions cannot be taken. Oh, well, that stinks. So we're going to have to defeat her before we can explore. Draw 2 cards or gain 1 item. But she brings along a friend. When this enemy is activated, flip 1 influence card in your hand and discard it. If a crit's applied, flip and discard, gain 1 item or recover up to 4 dice, drain its blood. So this is another, blue toxin. Okay, well, we're just collecting all the toxins today. And he's a 5. Okay, so we got both these dudes out. We have to flip and discard another card from our hand. Yes, it is. So flip and discard. Let's see. Is there anything else we got to do off of this guy? Nope. Try and crit him, that's for sure. And then gain 1 item or recover up to 4 dice, which is pretty cool. And now the next thing that happens is the boss power goes off and he takes, we'll say a green die. All right. Now, what are we going to do? Well, we got to defeat her so we can actually do an explore action. So then we can use our hammer, which gives us 4 red. Plus that 1, so we could use that without banishing him to add 1 to that and get rid of this guy right off the bat. So that might be a thing to do. So, in the meantime, I think we're going to go straight on to the strategy phase, because we need to stomp this kindergarten teacher so we can actually take an action. So we're going to grab a blue and a purple. I think that's all we'll need. Probably. Maybe a yellow and a purple. How about that? Well, blue and a purple. I just want to get rid of this one so we can do something else. Yeah, and that'll certainly do. So there's 2 hits. We'll allocate both to her. So she is defeated. And upon defeat, draw 2 cards or gain 1 item. And at this point in the game, I thought I'd kick it into high gear because you see the game doesn't change that much. You keep pulling out new monsters to fight at the start of every round. You draw back up to 5 cards. You use those 5 cards to fight those monsters while continuing to try to explore the dreamscape there, because fundamentally what you're trying to do is beat the big boss. And to beat the big boss, you have to do several things. One, you have to find the location on the Dream Quest cards that tell you where you can activate the big boss. It'll be 5 Wrath, 5 Cunning, and 5 Exploration, or whatever, red, yellow, and green, to activate him at that time. And then with that done, you have to activate whatever that particular boss's trigger is. In this case, it was make sure that your ether dial was on red. Now, the trick to moving that dial around, it doesn't just rotate like it did in Tainted Grail. Instead, you have to find the location in the dreamscape where you can move to it, fight off the monsters, and then spend additional resources to actually have the ether dial move to the next color up the chain. So that's pretty much what you proceed to do, and you can collect additional items. And sometimes you clear the board, sometimes some of the monsters actually help you out. It just kind of depends. And over time, as the game proceeds, you're really trying to balance playing your cards, not losing too much, gathering more items in preparation for fighting the big bad. But mostly, you're just trying to find all those stinking locations in the Dream Quest area and get that dial rolled around to the point where you can actually engage the big bad, because up until then, that's a no-go. And again, the mechanics don't really change, but what is interesting is as you fight off monsters, a lot of them transform into like sludge or whatever, and that turns out to be useful or necessary triggers for other monsters that you encounter later. When you defeat them, it can say, oh, well, if you have this in your inventory or this is an item in your discard, you can retrieve it. But if you haven't defeated the other monster that turns it into that inventory item, then that's of no use to you whatsoever, and the guy just goes in the discard, and off you go, try again another time. So the idea is, as you play over time, those things get converted from the A side to the B side, or back again, depending on the card, and then you can use them and cycle them and fight off that monster and gather another resource to use that, which triggers that other thing. It gives you an extra effect later in the game. So all that's useful. And as you can see, as time goes by there, I'm up to 5 exploration cards, which is great, except some of the monsters require you to destroy the exploration cards, or like the hammer where you have to sacrifice one and then it sends you back to the home base. But the problem there is there's only one location total in all of those cards of exploration for converting the ether dial from one thing to the next. And so things can take a bad turn, as I will show you momentarily. Now that we're here, if the ether is set to, blue set it to purple, where's that one that was green? I thought we already did that one. Did I get rid of that one? Oh, man. Okay, so that's kind of unexpected. I wasn't paying close enough attention when I was having to nuke map cards and flipping them over, and I got rid of the map card that let me go from green to blue on the ether dial. The blue to red the blue to purple is still out there, and purple to red is still out there, but the green to blue is gone and in the discard pile for the exploration trail. If I explore everything, then I can shuffle it up and start again. But that's going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 or 6 more explore actions. I only have 1 card left in the item, or the influence thing, so I would lose 2 health plus another one from that other thing, and basically be starting over to a certain extent, trying to find that one spot, which I honestly don't find very appealing. So here's the thing. I think I basically lost because I blew it. I nuked the wrong galaxy section of the dreamscape and cannot progress to the end game, which makes me feel like the old Sierra games. Have you ever played those back in the day where you needed the stick and the snake to cross the river, and if for some reason you cooked the snake on the stick earlier in the game, you were stuck and you'd have to restart the game because there was no way forward? That's kind of what's happening here, actually. Outside of just recycling it all, basically I lost to get stuck in the dreamscape forever because I nuked the wrong part of the dreamscape as I was wandering the Etherfields. So stupid on my part. I kind of didn't think that would be a game killer, I guess. I figured there'd be a way to get back to that without having to just explore the whole thing over again. So a bad assumption on my part. But I guess that's just a thing to be aware of. If you mess up your dreamscape, you can shut yourself out from being able to win the game. based on what the boss criteria is. So that stinks. And it looks like most of the boss criteria are get the ether meter to the correct color, and to do that you have to explore and go back and forth to do that. I like the idea of this game. I like the cards. The artwork's cool. I like how things turn into other things as you defeat them. But man, that stinks. I don't care for that part at all, about the oops, nuke the wrong thing and it's pretty much a guaranteed loss. Don't break the dream, I guess, is the point there. So, bummer. I guess that's that then. This definitely was not my favorite of the three that I've played because of that one reason. Up until then, I thought it was pretty entertaining, but man, apparently you got to pay very close attention to your dreamscape and not screw that up, or you're done and the game is over. Other than that, it's fun. So I guess that's just something to be mindful of. Should you play this game, be real careful about your dreamscape and pay close attention to what it does, although in some cases monsters make you flip things or whatever, and you can just lose it altogether and not really have a chance. So that stinks, I guess. So anyway, Etherfields, not my favorite one by far of the three we've played so far, of Etherfields, Nemesis, and Tainted Grail. So far I like Tainted Grail the most, Nemesis second, and Etherfields the last. But we've got one more to go. The Little Red Riding Hood one, which Tanglewoods, I believe it is, Tanglewoods Red. And we'll give that one a go. That was the extra one I picked up in addition to the Awakened Realms 20 strong Kickstarter, or excuse me, Game Found combo. I am Ray, this is TinyTableGames. Thank you very much for watching. I'm sorry it had such a bad ending in my opinion. Good moral to the story though is pay attention to what your dreamscape looks like, or you can lock yourself out of a win, or even fighting the big boss at the end. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time with Tanglewoods Red. See you then.